Hey guys, this edition of Side Flick is gonna be audio only. The hate comments are getting to me about being called a fat Elon Musk. So, nah, son, I'm doing this while I'm eating a gansito. That's a rapper. Nah, I'm just out of town right now, and I really wanted to make this video just so you guys could always stay up to date with the latest movie news going on. Which, speaking of which, we do have so much to cover. We have The Evil Dead, a great horror franchise, returning with a new movie, touching upon some Happy Death Day 3, new details on Matrix 4, and of course, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the sequel that we've all been waiting for. I'm gonna need you guys to leave your opinions down below on what you think of all the movie news we talk about today, what gets you the most excited, what you're looking forward to, and also be hitting that like button down below. Just because you can't see my face,
You can still read my tone if I'm angry and you don't hit that like button.
Alright, jumping into the horror movie news first before we get into the other topics. Happy Death Day 3. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are big fans of the Happy Death Day series, and I am a sort of fan of the first movie. I thought it was an interesting take on the horror genre, especially the slasher films, being that that's my favorite subgenre in horror movies. But then Happy Death Day to You came out, and then the franchise just no longer felt like a horror series and turned into this meta comedy, which I guess is fun for a lot of people, but for me, I was hoping it would stay with the slasher genre. Well, Jason Blum, the head of Blumhouse Studios, has been talking about the fact that he wants to make Happy Death Day 3 happen, saying exactly, when asked about the third installment in the franchise, he said, "Let me tell you, I'm working overtime on it, believe me, I'm trying. Nothing official yet." And if the man who's the head of the studio and really oversees a lot of the projects wants a third film, we're most likely gonna be getting a third film. This article from MovieWeb is really quick to point out on why the studio would probably be hesitant to make it happen. The first Happy Death Day was made on a $5 million budget and made $125 million. That's a huge return on their investment, but the second movie that was made for $9 million only made $64 million, which, yeah, still amazing, and they definitely earned a profit, but it showed that audiences were no longer interested in seeing a third film happening, with their total gross being almost cut in half. To me, if they make a third movie, I would want them to go back to the horror genre. I would want them to make it scary again, but with the way the second film ended, with the government asking a bunch of college kids help on how this sort of machine works, it's like, what am I even watching anymore? So I really throw it off to you guys. If Happy Death Day 3 happens, would you be interested, and what would you want to see in it? Jumping into probably the most exciting horror movie news that's happened in a while here is we are finally getting confirmation on the fourth Evil Dead movie. The Evil Dead franchise has a huge cult following, and fans have been begging for a sequel, a reboot, just something in the Evil Dead world, especially since Ash vs. the Evil Dead, which was the popular show that I heard wasn't that bad, got canceled. Well, we have Bruce Campbell, who played the original Ash in the first Evil Dead movie, talking with Empire, and he basically spilled all the beans, more than he should have, about the upcoming movie. These are some of the quotes that he said. "It's called Evil Dead Now. Sam handpicked Lee. He did a cool movie called The Hole in the Ground. We're going to get that sucker out as soon as practical." The details in this article also make it clear that Evil Dead Now won't feature the character of Ash, and presumably won't have any ties to Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead, which was the 2013 Evil Dead remake. Instead, telling a brand new story within the universe. Bruce Campbell continuing on, "From this point forward, they're kinda have to stand on their own, which is fine and liberating. You could have different heroes, different heroines. In this case, this one's gonna be a little more dynamic. We just want to keep the series current, and the mantra really is that our heroes and heroines are just regular people. That's what we're going to continue." This all sounds extremely interesting to me, but let's break down what he's told us so far, because some of these details will make people happy and some will make people really mad. The first thing we got to realize here is Ash will not be part of this series as far as we're aware, which is weird considering Bruce Campbell, the man who plays Ash, knows all these details about the new movie, but then again, He does work as producer along these movies, so it would make sense that he would know. So that's kind of a bummer that we won't be seeing Ash. But Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead movie that we got in 2013 proves that you can make a good Evil Dead movie without the character of Ash. The second part here that might upset people is that they confirmed that it'll be a female lead for this new Evil Dead movie. Now, I have no problem at all with female leads, but then you have those people who hear the word female lead and they completely lose their minds. They automatically hate this project. But if you look at the Fede Alvarez Evil Dead movie, I would argue that was a female lead. I know there was a character that they were kind of ponying off as Ash, but it was a misdirect. At the end of the day, that movie was about that girl, so there's already been a female-led Evil Dead movie in my opinion. This just really signifies what the future for the Evil Dead franchise is, and that is that every movie upcoming, and now this one titled Evil Dead Now, is going to be more of an anthology series, which I think is kind of perfect. You can't always rely on the character of Ash to give us some groovy movies. There is so much untapped potential in the Evil Dead franchise, specifically concerning the book, I could never pronounce, the Necronomicon. This anthology route where every movie will basically follow new groups of characters that are just regular people who knows if they're going camping again. They stumble across the book, read a couple of passages, and then crazy stuff starts to go down. We've already had time travel in this universe. We've had comedy added to it. I prefer they stick to a horror route, but how do you Evil Dead fans feel about the new title of the movie, Evil Dead Now? Kind of has to grow on me. I'm not completely on board with it. Kind of sounds like a streaming service. But other than that, how do you feel about the details concerning this new Evil Dead movie? Moving on to some action movie talk, we have Matrix 4. Now, it is rumored that today we are supposed to be getting a Bill and Ted 3 trailer, so I hope we all woke up to that and we enjoyed it and it's signifying the opening of movie theaters. But if we didn't, okay, let's still celebrate some Keanu Reeves in our life and discuss Matrix 4. Recently, Keanu Reeves was doing an interview and he went ahead and let us know why he decided to say yes to a fourth Matrix movie when, if you really think about it, people only love the first Matrix film. The other two Matrix films get a lot of flack and just do not seem cohesive with the rest of the series. But the reason he decided to come back, he said, is because the new script for the film is beautiful. Continuing on, a wonderful story that resonated with me. That's the only reason to do it. Matrix 4 has some meaningful things to say and that we can take some nourishment from. And even though I'm not the biggest Matrix fan, those details right there really get me excited for this new film because I'm really curious to see how the Matrix franchise that really set a new precedent for action movies would be relevant now today. The new set of cast members in this film really stand out, especially Yahaba Abdul, who's going to be playing our new Candyman later this year, and Neil Patrick Harris, a man that I love watching in How I Met Your Mother. If I had to guess, since they're not getting the return of Agent Smith because the actor is busy with other projects and couldn't come back to this movie, I would not be surprised if Neil Patrick Harris is our new Agent Smith. You can see him in a suit and tie. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's doing in this new Matrix movie. But also these behind-the-scene photos of them literally jumping off buildings, having helicopters. The Matrix was known for using a heavy amount of CGI to now seeing them go practical, and knowing that Keanu Reeves is capable of such intense choreography when it comes to martial arts lets me know that this new Matrix movie is gonna blow us all away. With Keanu Reeves praising Matrix 4 for having a beautiful script, do you guys believe the man in thinking this movie will actually blow us away, or do you think it'll be more like the other Matrix sequels that were forgotten and not that well loved? And now a quick update on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2, the sequel to the animated Spider-Man movie that blew us all away. I remember when this was first announced, the first movie, and I thought to myself, this is dumb, an animated Spider-Man movie? Who would ever love that? And it's become basically one of my favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. Well, now we can look forward to the sequel that, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, did get moved to the year 2022. An animator working for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse decided to get online and let everyone know that production has started on the second movie, with saying, first day on the job. And while that might not be the biggest deal to some people, that lets me know that we are only a couple months away from getting a lot more details about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The biggest thing I want to know is who the new Spider-Men that are going to be involved in this movie. We've already gotten some confirmed characters. We can pretty much bet the other Spider-Man characters that we got in the first movie will probably show up either in extended roles or cameo roles. But the other confirmed characters that did not show up in the first Spider-Man movie was Japanese Spider-Man. They already confirmed that they have an animation of him built and that he will be showing up. But aside from the Spider-Man characters that could be showing up, you also got to think, what Spider-Man villains are they going to be bringing in and how are they going to look? Because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse gave us a whole bunch of different interpretations of the classic villains. They gave us a female Dr. Octopus that was awesome. They gave us a Scorpion that was half man, half scorpion. They gave us the ultimate version of the Green Goblin that was more of a monster. I wouldn't mind seeing a different interpretation of the Sandman character. I would want them to stay away from maybe a Venom just because we already got his solo movie and Venom's just getting overplayed. Bring up some new people. The only other detail that we have to go off on what Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse could be about is that they did confirm that they want Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse to tackle on that romantic love story between Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy, specifically how they live in two different universes but they like each other. Like, yeah, that's a long distance relationship for sure. Spider-Man movies have always dealt with a little dilemma in crime fighting and your love life, so that kind of makes sense, but I wouldn't want that to be the main focus of the movie. I'm really excited to see what they do with 2099 Spider-Man and if we get to see a future world. But you guys now see that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is finally getting into production with day one. What do you want the next announcement to be, whether it's the new Spider-Man, the new villains, or the story for the movie? You guys let me know. But that is just all the movie news we have to talk about today, guys. I really appreciate you guys going through with the audio version. Life can just get a little hectic sometimes, so I'm not always in front of my camera, but I still want to give you guys all the information that I can. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you've made it this far. Subscribe if you haven't for more movie-related content. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Film Review. As always, I'm Chris. Take care.